One of the more interesting things to come out of the Michael Wolff book, Fire and Fury, that was released earlier this week, they actually gave it an early release because Donald Trump was giving it so much free publicity, sold out in areas all over the country. But one of the more interesting claims made in this book, and this happened in interviews that took place months ago, is that a lot of senior advisors and staffers for Donald Trump at the time these interviews are being conducted for the book do not believe that this man will finish his first term as President of the United States. They believe that something will happen that will either cause the president to resign or to be removed from office. Here's what's so interesting about that. These statements from top advisors and staffers actually happened before the indictments with the grand jury by Robert Mueller came out. These statements came before the book was published and gained all the publicity for making these claims about Donald Trump Jr. committing treason and Jared Kushner possibly laundering money. These claims were made by people who just saw the everyday operations in the White House, and yes, they knew the Mueller investigation was going on. And even then, they predicted that Trump would not finish his first term in office. The odds for him being impeached this year are greater than the odds given for him staying in office through the end of the year, according to betting sites and statisticians. Donald Trump is more likely to not be president at the end of the year than he is to be president at the end of the year. So it is a pretty safe assumption for these people to come forward and say, yeah, I don't think he's going to make it past his first term. Especially if Democrats manage to sweep the 2018 midterms, then the likelihood of him staying in office drops even further. Of course, that wouldn't take place. They wouldn't take office till 2019. Still probably going to be out the door before the end of his first term. But again, what is so interesting about this is that these people were saying that he wasn't going to finish the term before all of the massive bombshells ever came out about this administration. They understood then, probably, most likely, because they already knew. They knew these things were coming. They knew these things were happening. They had known Donald Trump. They knew what he did. They knew what Trump Jr. did. They know what Kushner's been doing. And they saw that back then and understood that this isn't a guy that's going to make it to 2020 as President of the United States. They also, according to the interviews in the book, referred to him as an idiot, as a child, and as a fool. And these are the people in charge of basically running his presidency with him. And when they view him as an idiot, as a child, or as a fool, shouldn't the rest of the public agree with them? I mean, all these die-hard Trump supporters that you still see out there following Donald Trump on Twitter and tweeting out hashtag MAGA to everything he tweets out, shouldn't they understand that the people who actually spend time with him, that the people who work with him, that the people who presumably like him think that he's a moron? Shouldn't they maybe take that to heart and say, maybe I've hitched my wagon to the wrong horse here? But they won't. Because just like Donald Trump, they're incapable of admitting that they made a mistake. And the biggest mistake that Donald Trump ever made was thinking that a person as corrupt as him could become president of the United States and avoid any kind of investigation about all of the potentially shady things that he has done throughout his entire life. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see here on Ring of Fire, we encourage you to subscribe to our channel. You can see the little subscribe button down there, but if you're watching it on another device where you can't see it, go to youtube.com/TheRingOfFire. Hit subscribe, be notified every time we get a new video.